Yo, 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 yo. What's
What's
up, sis?
good?
Can you
What
see
is
my face good? Am I head? Am I
Yeah,
up
you're
there? Or...
legit. How am I?
You're good. You're good.
Cool.
Let me back up a little bit. I want to be so close to the camera. I got everything set up. How's your morning so far?
Actually, it's popping. A lot of cool things I gotta talk to you about later. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, but
Nice.
it's actually popping. Today's a happy Thursday for me. Got some good news about, um, a grant that I wanted. It's small, but it's a
Still a
positive.
grant.
Yeah, it's a positive, not it's a grant. So yeah, and
Exactly.
the people that it's with, I have a larger vision. So I think that, once they see this vision executed, they'll want to get on with another vision. Do you still want to do Zoom?
Yeah, yeah, but like with this, but this one I like because people are already here. That's why I love
Ooh, yes.
that was
Tight,
dope because
tight.
folks love the IG live and they're like already here. So I like make it, you know, we like to make things a little bit easier for folks to participate.
Right.
And this was just a very, very quick way. And it also allows people that didn't get, you know, a chance to really see the posts or know what we're doing or anything like that to hop on, jump in and do what we do, see dope filters, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
that's
don't really do live much, so I don't really, yeah, I don't do live much, but these filters are
yeah,
awesome, actually.
they're ill. It's a lot of people that do a lot of ill stuff with
Oh,
all
hey,
the different filters. So
your
it's
favorite.
so dope.
Yeah, well, let's get cracking, man.
Let's
So,
get it cracking.
I,
So the first thing I want to do is always is a nice introduction. You know,
your
the
live
folks
is
that
about to be lit.
it's about to be all lit, it's about to be all types of lit, digital lit. So like for the folks that don't know you, your craft, you as a curator or artist or as a arts professional, give them a quick rundown on what it is that you do and what you contribute to this art world.
Ooh, that's a big question. Well, I
It
would like to
is.
think I contribute curiosity first and foremost, in just a way of taking something that may have been applied in one specific sort of lane and reapplying that reapplication, I guess, of the familiar into something like, never really thought of that, or oh, that's an
Mhm.
interesting application for that. Like me talking as Yoda, people probably not
Yeah.
never thought that that would be kind of lit. Like I could actually watch her as a green faced Yoda type.
Yeah, exactly. That's it's so dope, and that's one of the things that I love about what you do in your platform is, you know, just the forward thinking visuals, not only just what you post, but the intention, you know, like what was the initial goal of YesUniverse.art when you started? Was it just, you know, finding cool shit to post or, you know, what was it?
No, so I actually started YesUniverse.art out of out of wanting a sense of community. At the time that I
Mhm.
started, on Instagram. So I had an Instagram back in 2012. And I just got it to get it. I didn't get it because what's up? How tall are you? Yeah,
Jeremiah, what up, homie?
I'm your IG friend. We've never met in person, but I
Yeah,
admire,
that's a homie of mine. He's a really
yeah,
good dude.
and he does great work too. So
That's
yeah, I basically started, curating, from a point of therapy. I was taking care of my grandmother at the time. She passed last year, and
nice.
at the time I was like morbidly depressed. I had moved from New York, and back to California to help take care of my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. And I
Mhm.
didn't really calculate the internal shift a move like that would make. And my mom, who's an artist, said, "Hey, you're pretty bummed out." Like I was morbidly depressed. And she said, "Let's go take an art class. It'll lift your spirits. And it's a good, way to do mother daughter stuff." So we
Mhm.
took a digital collage class, and she was right. It lifted my spirits. I felt better immediately having a community of people at the school, but also being able to create and put my own sort of like funk on things. And then I began sharing that on Instagram. I began sharing other people's work. I began just like, they started asking me my advice through DMs
Mhm.
on their work. And, small changes I recommended in their artwork had large gains for them. And so
Mhm.
they thought I was some sort of like expert. And I'm like, no, I'm not an expert. I'm just giving you advice probably anybody else would give you. But you do that a
Yeah.
few times in a row, and people now think there's something to it. And so maybe I thought, hey, there's something to this, and maybe there's a lane for me. And so I stopped sharing my work as much because it gave me so much more joy to share other people's work. And so from that began to build a community online with folks. And that in itself, building community, really also helped to bring me out of my funk. I was already out of the depression, but I soared through connecting with folks from all over the world, you know, Spain, London, Mexico City, Turkey, Ghana, you know, South Africa, China, Hong Kong. I mean, it was amazing. It was really amazing. It made me feel, in a sense, like I was back in New York. Like the whole
Wow.
world comes to New York. So you really
Yeah.
don't have to travel if you were born and raised in New York, really, because literally the entire world will come to you because it's such a dynamic city. And so
Yes.
it gave me that sense again. And also to helping people. I never knew that, you know, one or two insights on changes in artwork, or just like, hey, go this direction, could actually have such large gains in people's life. And that gave me a lot of joy as well, to be helpful and to see people winning, and knowing that I, you know, was a part of the reason why they were winning. I wasn't the reason they were winning, but I was a part of the reason they were winning, and that made me feel really good.
So, like, taking that type of emotion and the discovery of what Instagram can be, you know, a curated digital platform of users, you know, with their thoughts, emotions, and visual, um, I guess, the visual cues of their day, you
Mm-hmm.
know, in a sense. How were you able, I'm sorry, to take that, translate that feeling into the Digitalia show? For those that don't know, she curated Digitalia, which was an amazing show a few years back at Museum of the African Diaspora in San Francisco. And I was just blown away, you know, when she invited me up to see it. And it was very, very different, you know, especially for the time, but it was
Right.
very necessary.
Right.
And I, my thing was, you know, first, how were you able to translate that feeling from the digital space to the physical? And then how did you know it was time to do that?
Yeah. Shout out to Mark Digital.
Shout out to Mark, big
AKA
time.
Mark Saad, who's like
Hmm.
the Don. I consider him the Don of the digital world. So I guess the digital Don. And I had reached out to him in 2015 once I kind of found my real footing with the community on Instagram. And I said, yo, I want to do this show, you know, at the MOAD, you know, it'd be dope. We could do it during Black History Month, you know, bringing Black kids to digital, blah, blah. He was like, yeah, 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 yeah. It's like, hold your horses, you know, kind of vibes. And I didn't really have the idea fully together. I didn't even know what it meant to be a curator, you know, to be honest
Hmm.
with you. I'm completely self-taught. So as an autodidact, you know, you end up developing your own style, but there's a certain um, the style has to, I think, be within certain parameters for people to really understand, or be
Yeah.
expressed rather within certain parameters, so that people fully understand. I didn't get that at the time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I came back to him like maybe a year later, and the year after that, and it was no, 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 you're not ready. No, we're not ready. No. And then in 2018, I was like, it's time, you know. So
Yeah.
actually, it was 2017. It was, I believe, October 2017. I had just actually been in the jungle in Peru for about 2 weeks, had done ayahuasca, felt very clear about my life and my path and who I was. And I was like, you know what? This art thing makes me feel good. And
Yeah.
if it helped me beat depression, it can help other people. And I want to dedicate my life and my time and my energy to, you know, things that make me feel good and would hopefully make other
Yeah.
people feel good. What's up, Larry? Larry from iHeartRadio.
Peace.
Listen
Welcome.
to him. He's got a real smooth voice. He's a hilarious comedian. Yeah, he does good work. But he's also my co-host at Yes Universe podcast.
Yeah. Check it out. Be sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. We got something. We got some heat up there, but we got more heat coming. So back to your question. Essentially, you know, I forgot exactly what I was saying, but I'm gonna freestyle it.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
So essentially, I was feeling good about my life. I'm now very much into plant medicine and do believe ayahuasca and other plant medicines can heal people. And it's
Mhm.
ancient for folks. It's a part of their cultural identity. It's a part of how they healed themselves before Big Pharma came along, right? And it's still
Mm.
also how they heal themselves. It literally is a healing art. And it's not one of those things, you know, you just I did a session of ayahuasca and I'm good. It's like, it's not
Yeah.
like taking an aspirin when you have a headache. This is really rooted in who we are as people, in our DNA. It's a part of the plant source. It's real spiritual. And
Wow.
it was there that I decided, look, this thing, this art thing made me feel good. I have a knack for it. I'm just gonna go all in and give myself to it. So really, I would say I've been in this for 2 years, since 2018 when I had my first show at the museum. Thanks to Emily, thanks to Mark, and everyone at the museum for actually taking a chance on me. It was a chance
Yeah.
for them too, because they had never really brought digital in to this extent. Like the
Yeah.
entire, first floor of the museum, which is, also, I guess, the lobby. But
Yeah.
to me, it's the best floor because it has these
Yeah.
huge, beautiful windows, tall
Mhm.
ceilings. It's accessible to everyone, which is super important and was important to me at the time. Um, they took a chance and they made that whole
Yeah.
first floor the exhibition, right? And
It was so dope because the one thing that I felt, because remember the first time I went through, like you were like, yo, you didn't see this part because it was over there, and I was like, oh, like it was so not in the way. You know what I mean? Like it
right,
was so properly placed to where you could easily pass it,
right,
not knowing what your intentions on going in to see. So I was like, I was going through and I walked through the alleyway, not the, I call it the alleyway, it's East Coaster talking, but the little walkway where it kind of looked like the movie posters, but you had the artworks that were going around. It was
right,
really dope. And then
right,
you were like, no, you gotta go, you gotta see this and that and the third. And then I pulled up the Idris piece and then the other piece, and I was like, holy shit, like, yo, this shit just transformed for me.
right.
So it was like the museum, yes, they took a chance, but it brought in a whole new way that the museum connected with them. And I thought that was really, really important. And it didn't take up no real estate.
Exactly.
That
It was
that
light.
was huge.
The footprint was really light. There were no, insurance and all these other
Mm-hmm.
things. And that's what I love. And that's why after that show, it's like, okay, I want to specialize in doing these really lightweight digital shows
Yeah.
that bring people together and make people feel excited. There were children there. It was exciting to
Mm-hmm.
see old people just,
Yeah.
old men and women together, just like,
Yeah.
feeling super electric about the show. And it was also
Mm-hmm.
the first time to, from what I've heard and from what I've, researched and understood, that Black artists have been together in in a museum show in augmented reality. There's never
Mm-hmm.
been a show with Black artists in augmented reality, which is
Yes.
crazy, which
Yes.
is really crazy at a major institution, right? That
It was all
I
that.
think that's really crazy. And so yeah, it was, shout out to the Moad. They have a new director. Her name is Moneta. She's wonderful. So if you guys are, wanting to do some virtual, like, studio visits or talks, hit up the
Mm.
Moad. I think it's moad.org. They're really wonderful.
Nice. So what makes augmented reality and virtual reality, that space very important in today's world? Being that COVID completely, let's just say, it fucked up everybody's plans for 2020.
Hmm.
It allowed for those digital spaces to really take root in people's minds. What makes those spaces important today?
So I'll go back to, like, sort of my origin story. So the reason
Hmm.
why those spaces are important to me is because it gave me sense of community and helped me to connect with community and have, like, Instagram fam, right?
Hmm.
It took my small reality and really expanded it. And I didn't have to go anywhere to have that happen. I had to really just tap in mentally and with my heart, right?
Hmm.
To genuinely connect with people in a way that um, signal that I see them and I want to
Yes.
be here. I'm not really interested in the likes. A lot of Instagram is fake anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not really interested in the likes. I really want to know who you are as an artist, who you are as a
Yes.
person. And I think it takes that extra step of bringing your heart along
Mm-hmm.
with your
Mm-hmm.
mind, right? To connections, to meetings, to conversations. And so, yeah, now that we're in COVID, right, and people have various opinions about it, the wonderful thing is folks now have to bring their heart and extra parts of their brains into
Mm-hmm.
these business meetings, because they have to understand what people really, really want from connection that's not in person. Because being a scenester is not the same thing anymore, right? In the New York
Mm-hmm.
gallery space and the LA gallery spaces, Art Basel this year is not happening, right? So what does it even mean to be a scenester in 2020
Mm-hmm.
COVID, right? Does that even have any currency anymore? And I'm thinking, no, it doesn't. I think being a scenester has zero currency now. And
Mm-hmm.
again, you really have to show up with your whole being to conversations, to events. That's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion and forecast. I mean, I'm sure somewhere in somebody's like 2D private viewing room, there is a scenester. I mean, I was in, I have VIP passes usually to, Basel and these other art fairs. And it was funny to me when the online fairs were giving people VIP passes. It's like, wait a minute. So you want to give me a VIP pass to the internet? Okay.
That's so it's mind blowing to me. Like I make jokes about, we make jokes about this all the time. Like I it's almost like, what was that law that they passed a few years ago that they were trying to, like make people pay for levels of the internet? I can't remember exactly what the laws were. Remember when they were trying to limit, and certain sites are going to be, you're going to have to be on a plan to visit certain sites.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Like, what, are they fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Exactly. It's
that's
like, so
hilarious.
you're giving me a VIP pass to your 2D website. It was just unbelievable to me, And I could understand if I were like a paying member of the platform, and that
Yeah,
paying membership actually added to the value of that platform, went to the artist in some way, helped the platform to be established. It's like, okay,
yeah.
cool. I get having a VIP because you want to show appreciation to, these folks, but not a VIP, not in COVID. There you go.
You gotta add it. You
That's
gotta add
Cholo
it. Since
Fit.
we,
Yo, that's
yeah,
Cholo Fit.
that's Cholo Fit. Shout out Cholo Fit.
Yeah, he's actually was on the podcast. Yeah, we have
Yeah,
an
he's
episode with
dope.
him coming out. Yeah, he is dope.
He's
Frankie,
dope. He's a
shout out
very
to
dope
Frankie.
dude.
Yo,
He's a dope dude, man.
he
I
really
enjoy it.
is. He is. He is. He has an incredible story too. Steamster. I'm not sure what Steamster is.
I think he meant Scenester.
Oh,
I
Scenester.
think,
Okay.
yeah, I think he was talking about Scenester. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, it's just like, okay, well, if you follow all of the news, whether you think it's fake news or real news, it's like people are dying, and you're out here
Yeah.
handing out VIP passes to a website. I think they missed the mark on that. I'm just like, no, make
Yeah.
everybody VIP. This might be the last year we're alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
This really, we started out didn't we start 2020 out with like World War III talk? And now you want to make now you want to make a VIP portal for an 2D online website? Come on, man. Just like,
and the one thing that, and it's kind of like, kind of leads a little bit later down the conversation too, but I wanted to ask this, like, I'm sure they're not even thinking about that, you're in a digital space where people is, actually very smarter than the average museum director and gallerist, to where hacking into VIP and having access is, someone can just open it up and then everybody have VIP. I mean, like,
right,
it's not as secure, safe, or as they're thinking, or as they want it to be just
right,
yet.
right,
So that's it's almost like they're trying to translate their exclusive ideals into a new space. You
right.
know, and like I was going to say, that leads to my new question. How do you think those ideals will have, well, where and what do you think, what ideals do you think will have to change, and where do you think they will change in the growth of the digital space inside the art market?
That's a really good question. I think that the misfits are gonna be running things, right? So it's kind of
Hmm.
like when the internet right before the internet became the internet, all the nerds were running things, right? So the nerds became the man, like Bezos. In a parallel universe, Bezos would have never. Like it was too nerdy, he was
Yeah.
too nerdy and like lightweight, unattractive, and weird. He would have never had the shine that he has now.
Yeah.
So I think that in this coming world, everyone who did make it in the last economy have a big chance to make it in this economy, and it's because there are no rules really anymore. You can do whatever, and I think that folks need to take. It reminds me kind of when we had the talk on blockchain at the MOAD, and you were on the
Yes.
panel, and they were like, "Well, what is the blockchain?" I'm like, "The blockchain is literally everything.
Everything.
It's
Yes.
everything. It's the new internet. Anything can go on the blockchain. There's no limits, and so." I believe we're in that time now. The only requirement is you have to have that imagination. You have to have that imagination and courage to say, all right, I've wanted to do this thing. It's super crazy. I don't even know if it's going to work. It may or may not work, but I'm going to do it because I believe energetically, and not just like, digitally on the internet, this is true, but also energetically, it feels like there's a portal or like an energetic vortex that's present and open. And whatever people want to do, they just throw it into the vortex. It's kind of like episode 7 of Lovecraft Country. Okay, so the most recent episode.
Oh, yes.
Look at CryptoPunk Craze. Hey, Dimitri, we're going to talk about crypto art. Hang on,
Yes.
friend.
Yes. Hold on 1 second.
What up, Third Eye Journal? Thanks for joining the conversation. So it's like that episode of Lovecraft Country where the I am being told the traveler to ask her, who are you and what do you want? Right? Who are you and what do you want from life? Right now, I think that 2020 is that portal asking that question. Who are you and what do you want? And whatever we throw into that portal is what's going to manifest. And a person can say, yeah, that's, that's at any time, or, that can happen. No, it can't, because it hasn't. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't happen often. It doesn't. This time does not come often in anyone's lifetime.
Right. Exactly. What up, all mamas? Yeah. And so people have to understand that there's a digital parallel to an energetic reality. And that energetic reality is whatever it is you want, now is the time. It doesn't matter how crazy, how audacious, how wild, how impossible. It's actually quite possible now. You just have to know who you are and what you want. And even if what you want and who you are changes, declare right now so that you can be transported to that place.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Facts.
Yeah. Facts. And so I use that same understanding and same sort of like philosophy to say that my very first art show in life was going to be at a museum. I read somewhere like on one of these art nets or wherever else that might be outside of like starting with Gagosian, that's probably one of the most respectable and like highest places a person can start is at a museum, whether they're an artist or a curator. So I said, okay, universe, I want my first art show to be at a museum. And I just kept saying that, kept saying it. And I decided when I was in the jungle in Peru, you know what? I'm going to just reach out one more time to the MOAD. They've been telling me no since 2015, right? They've been telling me no since 2015, but I'm going to reach out to them and see what they say. And in October, when I came from the jungle, it was either October or November, when I came from the jungle, within the first week of me being back, I reached out to them and I'm like, hey, I want to do this art show. And it was a mix of right timing and right idea. And so the idea was Digitalia, art and the economy of ideas. And I feel like one of the things I love about myself is like my mind, and this is probably because I'm a Gemini moon and an Aquarius rising, I don't know, but I have ideas like you snap your finger, I got a new idea.
Yeah.
Snap your finger, I got just ideas. And I love that about me, right? I really do. It keeps me entertained. It keeps life interesting. And I'm never bored. Ooh, I like that filter.
Yeah, I was seeing like different things.
And so I realized that I have my own personal economy of ideas. And I realized, more importantly, that right now where we are in history, as a community of people, but in particular Black people.
Yes.
Black, there's a saying that Black kids run the internet,
Hmm.
and that's because of our economy of ideas.
Hmm.
That's why we run the internet. you
One
know
thing, one thing I was going to ask, and going into that is that, you know, would you compare this time? Let me switch to something that's a little bit without my face, and yeah, it's a little bit better. This time period, um, for young creators, especially young Black creators, to be able to learn about ownership as they enter, this new uh, avenue of market, because a lot of this stuff is new. One thing I loved about your show and the title, The Economy of Ideas, is that it put into play that, young ideas are valuable.
that's right.
You know what I mean? Like your thoughts, your feelings, your creations, that little um, Photoshop file that you were thinking was nothing has now become everything.
That's
You
right.
know, what your tools have changed. And now not only have your tools changed, but the access to the tools have changed. It showed a different level of access for the artist. And I thought that was very important about that show.